There are only two moments in my entire ownership of this car that I have felt scared in it. The first time, going around the Nürburgring. The second time is when I almost had injector failure on the B58. And this is one of the moments where your car genuinely makes you worry. No launches, no boost, just driving completely normally. 60 miles an hour on an open road, 2k RPMs, just cruising. And then boom, out of nowhere, the car makes the worst noise I've ever heard it make. A deep sounding, mechanical kind of grunt. It sounded like the car wasn't combusting properly. So today we're asking the big question, did I almost experience injector failure on my B58? Now let me be very clear, the car wasn't under any boost, I wasn't doing a pull in the car, and the car wasn't under any load. And this noise, it only happened for a second or two, but it was long enough for me to think this isn't right, and I shut the car off straight away. No engine management light, no codes on the MHD scanner, everything seemed to be fine. And this is the worrying part, when I feel like there's something wrong, and the car is telling me everything's fine. As soon as you mention a weird noise on the B58, the comments are always the same. Injector mate, stuck injector, hope you caught it early. And I get why. Direct injection is great, and when it works, it's amazing, but when something goes wrong, it goes very wrong. But here's the issue, not every horrible noise equals injector failure. True injector failure can be quite a big issue, especially when the injector stays open. And when that does happen, it usually doesn't announce itself quietly. And if the injector plays up lightly, you'll notice it. The car will have intermittent misfires, you'll have a lot of fuel smells coming from the exhaust, oil dilution, and also the car will struggle to start sometimes. And you may even get some fault codes on your scanning tool. Now with the majority of injector failures, the ECU will be able to tell, and the car will tell you something. But in my case, the car told me nothing. And this is where the majority of people misunderstand things. No fault codes doesn't mean something didn't happen. Now the ECU works within thresholds. If something happens very briefly and then goes back to normal, the ECU might not flag it. And that's important. Now the thing I want to make sure before we go any further is my M240i is manual. So we can rule out anything to do with the automatic gearbox, torque converter shudder, or just general automatic gearbox issues. And this issue, it's purely engine and combustion related. So let's start actually thinking about what happened. Could it have been a brief misfire on the car with no code? Well, yes, definitely. It could be related to a bad spark plug or a coil pack going bad. And on a quick note, because I can see the comments coming, the car had half a tank of fuel, so it wasn't related to the car having no fuel in the tank. Now here's another possible cause that I thought could have happened. It could have been a random fuel anomaly. You see, the B58's fueling system is extremely technical and extremely advanced. And this could result in a lot of things being faulty. Low pressure fuel pump not delivering fuel to the high pressure fuel pump having a bit of a spaz in a moment. It could also be an injector issue. At the time, I was so concerned with what the issue could have been, I didn't actually get a chance to film it. And I didn't want to make the issue happen again because, trust me, the sound was awful. But there's no real way to explain it to you guys. It sounded like the car was trying to turn over the engine with a lot of stuff inside the combustion chambers that shouldn't have been. After I shut the car off, I slowly coasted into a lay-by. Straight away, connected my MHD adapter to scan for any fault codes. Weirdly enough, nothing. So I started the car back up, it started up fine, I went to the rear of the car, checked to see if there was any extreme smell of unburnt fuel, and there wasn't. The car was idling perfectly. Carried on driving for another 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the issue happened again. It happened for about 2 to 3 seconds. I straight away turned the car off because I didn't want any damage to occur to the B58 engine. So instead of straight away throwing parts at the car, I wanted data. And stay tuned, because very shortly I'm going to show you the easiest way to check if your injectors are failing or if they're healthy and you're all good to go. So to gather my data, I straight away went online. I started looking on forums and of course watching YouTube videos. And I stumbled across Kern417's video. Now for this test, full credit goes to him. If you want to see what video I watched to learn this tip and trick, then his video is linked in the description below. So this test, it isn't my test, but it is one of the simplest ways to see if your injectors are sealing correctly. Now to actually explain this test properly and conduct it correctly, we've got to just briefly talk about fuel on a car. Now when fuel is hot, it expands. So the first rule for this test is you have to do the test when the car is all warmed up, purely because the fuel in the fuel rails, for example, they all have to be hot or at least warm. If you do this where it's 10 degrees Celsius outside, you might not get a correct reading, and this reading is crucial. So my advice would be, take the car for a 20 to 30 minute drive, come back, make sure that engine is warm, and then we can conduct the test. Now what Kern explained, simply, was that when an injector is closed, it shouldn't let any fuel into the combustion cylinders. If that injector is stuck open, then obviously fuel is going to go through the injector into the cylinder. Now this next part is where MHD or boot mode or an OBD scanner comes in really handy, because you've actually got to go into the car's diagnostics and look at some live data when the car is on. The B58 can look like a very overwhelming engine when it comes to sensors and everything, but here you've actually got your rail. Now this is your fuel rail. This has an extreme amount of pressure in it. This is the sensor at the end here which measures the pressure in PSI. So we're going to conduct the test in just a second to see if my injectors are actually stuck open on this B58. And the final piece to the puzzle is, once you've warmed up the car and once you go on your data scanner to read the actual PSI, which should be around 1300 to 1500 PSI, the next step is to actually make sure you're reading the live PSI and you're seeing it in real time. And then what you want to do is turn the car off. Now you might be thinking, what happens then? Well, basically, all the injectors should be closed because the ECU isn't sending a signal to those injectors to be open anymore because you've turned the engine off. And what should happen then is this fuel in this fuel rail system should increase. The PSI that this sensor is sensing should go up. So from my knowledge, the pressure that that sensor is sensing shouldn't go down. And this is why the test is very important to do when the car's warm, because fuel behaves differently when it's cold compared to if it is hot. So, what was the result for my car? Well, as you can see on screen now with the pop-up, you can see my live PSI on my MHD data logging screen. You can see it fluctuating, and now I'm about to turn the car off. This PSI, as you can see on the screen, goes up. Now, from my knowledge, it doesn't really matter how fast it goes up, but as long as it goes up, that's the main thing. If it goes down, then that means it's more than likely an injector is leaking fuel into the cylinder. So an easy way to tell is, if the PSI goes up, you're all good. If it goes down, there's an issue. So what's next? Well, based on the tests that I've done, I don't have any issues with the injectors. However, just doing the test once doesn't mean that all is okay. I'm going to do this test regularly, maybe once a week, just to make sure my injectors are all sealing correctly and there's no issues. So what was this issue? Well, I'm not completely ruling out that one of the injectors did briefly stay open. That could still be a possible cause. But something weird definitely happened. Something momentarily and also something abnormal. So going forward, this is something I'm definitely going to be monitoring. I'm going to be monitoring rail pressure, cold starts, logs, everything. And data? Well, data beats guesswork every single time. And the B58 is an incredible engine, but it's not perfect. And the injector issue on these cars is not super common, but it is a real issue that does happen. And now you guys know how to actually check the health of your injectors. So a big thanks to Kern for making this video and showing us all how we can actually do it. If you want to see his video, again, it's linked in the description. Apart from that, I'd love to actually know if you guys do this test. Does your pressure rise or does it drop? And also, let's just have a general discussion about the injector failures on these cars. Has it happened to you on your car? If so, what mileage? Were you running any tunes? Did you have the revised injectors or the OEM ones which are problematic? All of these things, I'd love to hear in the comment section, so let me know. Apart from that, I really hope this video did help you out in some way. If it did, you guys can give it a like so more people can see it. And apart from that, if you want to see a lot more content on the B58 and also a Polo GTI, which is around the corner there, then hit subscribe. We're trying to reach 4,000 subscribers before 2026. But for now, I can put this back on, hopefully not worry too much, knowing my injectors are okay for now. So thank you all so much for watching today. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.